The Indian Ocean region is currently experiencing a state of intense military tension. This is because the Indian Ocean has become the center of power in the world's geopolitical processes. 60% of global cargo ships and 70% of the world's crude oil ships pass through the Indian Ocean, making a strong contribution to global trade. India and Pakistan are rapidly preparing for a military conflict over Kashmir. India and Pakistan are nuclear powers in the Asian region. Countries such as China and Turkey are already supporting Pakistan and providing direct military assistance to Pakistan. If this conflict begins, the necessary factors will be created for it to become a conflict that can spread to the Asian region. The main military conflicts between India and Pakistan took place in 1965 and 1971. At that time, Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranaike was able to stop the war between the two countries by negotiating with the leaders of the two countries. The first Prime Minister in the world to understand this fact, Mrs. Sirimavo Bandaranaike, presented a proposal to the United Nations in 1971 requesting that the Indian Ocean region be made a zone of peace and free from these military conflicts. It is well known that the increase in Soviet and U.S. naval activities in the Indian Ocean since 1968 has caused concern among the majority of coastal states who are in favor of establishing the ocean as a zone of peace. Sri Lanka took the lead in supporting the proposal, which was first raised at the Non-Aligned Movement (NIM) Summit in Cairo in October 1964, and then at the Non-Aligned Movement (NAM) Summit in Lusaka in September 1970, and at the Singapore Summit of Commonwealth Prime Ministers in January 1971. On 16th December 1971 at the United Nations General Assembly, Sri Lanka succeeded in declaring the Indian Ocean and the airspace above it and the subsoil thereof a zone of peace in perpetuity by a vote of 61-0 with 55 votes against. A year later, on the 15th of December 1972, the General Assembly adopted by a strong majority, 95-0 with 33 abstentions, a resolution reaffirming the idea of a zone of peace and establishing an ad hoc committee of 15 nations to study the implications of the resolution. This temporary committee met in 1973 and reported to the General Assembly on 19 December 1973, which passed a resolution requesting the temporary committee to continue its work for another year and requesting a statement from experts on the military presence of the great powers in the Indian Ocean. Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranaike, representing the small island nation of Sri Lanka, did a yeoman task to navigating regional tensions. Her excellent diplomatic skills have enabled her to make the Indian Ocean a zone of peace so far. She was able to intervene in the military conflict between India and China in 1962 and prevent it. And she was also able to intervene in the military conflict between India and Pakistan from 1965 to 1971 and bring peace. Sri Lanka has the space to intervene to prevent conflicts between the superpowers of Asia by implementing its foreign policy without favoring India, Pakistan, or China. To recreate these spaces, the government must implement Sri Lanka's non-aligned foreign policy with foresight and practicality. The Indian Ocean Strategic Research Center believes that peace and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region will directly impact and undergird the economy and political stability of Sri Lanka.